you. Perfect. Okay, then maybe let's slowly start. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is İlknur Çulani. I'm a senior program manager with the tech team at International Data Spaces Association, so IDSA. And I would like to welcome you to this webinar on AI Act and its impact on research, business, and standardization. This is a workshop hosted by the Project FAME and also jointly organized by ALCHIMIA, enRichMyData, and HumAIne projects. These are all projects funded by the who have received funding from the European Union's Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Program. So thank you very much for joining us today. Oops. Yes, so let's slowly start. First of all, why we have this webinar? So the European Commission has introduced the Artificial Intelligence Act in 2021 April. This is a very comprehensive regulatory framework. It governs the development, marketing, and use of AI systems within EU, and it mandates specific responsibilities for different players in the AI ecosystem. And it's very complex, so there are a lot of challenges for entities trying to adopt or align with this regulation. So we decided to take the chance to put together a few of the projects that we know that are working on this topic to discuss these challenges together and to see how these different projects are approaching the AI Act and these challenges. And our hope is that at the end we can identify some synergies and we can jointly contribute somehow to help adapt the AI Act across Europe. So maybe through standardization activities, maybe through some other actions. So we'll try to discuss that at the end. But this workshop is just as a first step for this collaboration. And in the meanwhile, we also hope others in the audience that may not be so familiar with this Artificial Intelligence Act can also have a chance to get familiar with it and have an insight on how different projects are tackling it. So hope it will be interesting for all of us. And we have some very good speakers lined up for you. So we have Jan Šturm from Joseph Stefan Institute from Slovenia. So he'll be talking about the FAME project and the enRichMyData project. We have Petri Kannisto with us from BFI in Germany. So he'll be giving us some insights on ALCHIMIA project and how they approach standardization there for AI Act. Then we have Pavlos Kranas from LeanXcale. I know him personally from the FAME project, but today he will be talking with us about the HumAIne project and the approach for AI Act there. Then we also have some data space experts with us. So my colleagues Silvia Castellvi and Sebastian Steinbuss from International Data Spaces Association. So they will also be talking about how data spaces relate to AI Act and what are the different standardization activities we could contribute to in this domain. And as for our agenda, how we will go about discussing this topic. First, we thought it would be good to have some context, especially for some of us who may not be so familiar with the AI Act. So Jan Šturm from JSI will be introducing us to this topic. What are the regulatory obligations? What is this AI Act all about? Then we will have some insights from the projects about how they are tackling this topic, their approaches. And then we will also have my colleague Sebastian Steinbuss talk about data spaces and how they support the AI Act. He will talk about a paper IDSA has produced. And then in the second part of the workshop, we will have some open discussion. This will be moderated by Jan, again, from JSI, as a subject matter expert. He will have some interesting questions for the project, but also for the audience. So please feel free to join also the discussion at that moment. It's not just for the presenters. And if we have time, we have some next steps in mind. So Silvia has some good ideas. We will also talk about them at the end. Hope this agenda sounds good to everyone. Please feel free to ask your questions or make your comments at the end, or type them in the chat or in the Q&A part simultaneously during while our speakers are presenting. So then let's start with the introduction part. So Jan, the floor is yours. Please introduce us to the AI Act. Thank you. You are muted.
Thank you.
I'll stop sharing maybe, so, okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Jan from Jožef Stefan Institute, and I will present some work which was done also in collaboration with Maja Škarjans and Alexandra Tupal from our institute. So the topic of this talk is EU AI Act and regulatory obligations. Okay, so what is the AI Act? So it's actually a landmark of European Union regulation. So the world's first comprehensive legal framework for artificial intelligence. So the goal here is to ensure that AI systems used in the EU are safe, transparent, traceable, non-discriminatory, and also environmentally friendly. And it established a harmonized set of rules for the development and deployment of AI. Okay, so why does it matter really? So it matters because we want to build trust. So whichever AI system we are using, at the end, trust is the most important factor. So imagine that you're driving a Tesla car or whichever autonomous car, and you don't have trust, right? So probably you won't be happy to go in that car and drive on a highway. So that's why this EU Act occurred, right? So it sets a global standard like much as GDPR, and it's expected to influence AI regulation worldwide. And it has also broad scope, so it applies to any provider of or user of AI systems within the European Union, and it even to provides based on outside the European Union, right? So AI Act regulation is actually split to several levels. So the first level is European level, right? So we have European Commission, which is responsible for overseeing the overall implementation of the AI Act and also issuing updates on it, right? So then we have European Artificial Intelligence Board, which actually proposed to assist the Commission and ensure a consistent application of AI Act across the Union. And it will also consist of representatives from each member state and the chairperson, European Data Protection Board. Then at national level, each country has their own those bodies. So for example, here we have national supervisory authorities. So each member state will designate one or more authorities responsible for the enforcement of the AI Act. These bodies will be able to handle assessment, compliance, and penalties. And then we have also other relevant authorities, depending on the specific application of AI, other national bodies like data protection authorities, consumer rights bodies, and so on. And then we have also industry level. So here is sector specific. Here we have sector specific regulators. So for industry, heavily utilizing AI like healthcare, finance, and automotive, existing regulatory agencies we likely have additional responsibilities under the AI Act to address AI-specific risk and compliance. So, okay, let's explain it simple way. So, if we look at AI Act from risk approach, we have actually 4 main levels. So the bottom we have minimal risks. So those are mostly systems which are not harmful to human. So imagine that you have spam filter or maybe like classifier that you simple classifier that you built in a project, right? Or maybe enabled video games. So non-harmful systems. Then we have with yellow we have limited risks. So in this category mostly we can observe LLMs and AI agents, and we will talk about this later. Then in one level higher we have high risk. So in this category we can observe, for example, like imagine that you go to a bank and you want to take credit, but this system works in a way that it actually provides your score, how much credit you will get based on the artificial intelligence model and not based on human judgment. And here we have also critical infrastructure, which you might observe in like Ministry of Defense or similar institutes, right? Justice systems, and we will also take a look later. And then we have unacceptable risk. And here is the stuff that you are already aware of, right? So social scoring. So this is the type of risk which you can maybe observe in China, right? So there is normal to have social scoring, but nobody wants to talk about it, right? It's kind of taboo topic. Also, facial recognition comes into this category, dark pattern AI and manipulation. And okay, so as I said, the green one is without obligation. In limited risk, we have transparency requirement. Then in orange one, we have conformity assessment, and the red one is prohibited. So the top level, the one with social scoring and so on, the social scoring. So here we have some exceptions. So you might think that all those systems are prohibited, but it's not like this. So imagine that we have human trafficking, or that we are searching for person, or we want to prevent terroristic attack, or to identify like criminals and so on. In such cases, such system can exist, but usually they need some approvals, and there are like 2 branches. So first branch is when the process is slow, it needs lots of approvals, and the second branch is when this process is very fast, and this system can be actually approved in 24 hours if needed. Imagine that we are expecting tomorrow terroristic attack, so we could build system and deploy it in 1 day, but after that 1 day we should slowly then also go through all other steps which are otherwise required for an acceptable risk, right? For high risk, as I mentioned, we have credit scoring models. Then exception is anti-money laundering and fraud detection, which is not considered as high risk because they are actually used for catching those people, right? And then we have also employee behavior profiling, where the system actually scores your performance based on some parameters which were extracted from data. Then we have limited risk, as I mentioned. Here we have LLMs, generative AI agents. The most important part here is that we actually add some disclaimer that the content was generated using generative AI, so it can be ChatGPT or Sora if you want, for images and so on. And minimal risk here is actually the most broad category where the most of the systems fails, right? It's unregulated, but the best practices that apply for those high-risk systems are also encouraged in this case. So here we can observe spam filters, enhanced mobile banking, personalized newsletter, recommender systems, and so on. So which are requirements for high-risk systems is conformity assessment and documentation. So what the conformity assessment is actually procedure to ensure that high-risk systems comply with the legislation's mandatory requirements before they are placed on the market, right? So here we want to prevent that some weird stuff would be that would occur on the market. So here are many kind of security checks and that I will mention now. So first we have internal self-assessment. So when you use your AI governance framework to run the gap analysis against the EU AI Act mandatory checklist. So for training and validation data, bias, impact, robustness, cybersecurity, and human oversight. Then we have transparency. So document results in your central compliance portal and explainability so that model is explainable. Then we have model card. So model card is basically group of information which is used in general purpose models. For example, let's say that we have ChatGPT, and then there is model card which describes how this model was trained, which are limitations, and so on. Because if such model would be open source, it would be like strong signal for future developers, but they need to be careful about, right? And then we have also third-party certification, and for critical system, and to engage the external notified body to perform the formal conformity assessment and issue the CA mark declaration. Okay, then we have also ongoing post-market monitoring. So we need to establish dashboards to track the performance drift, fairness metrics, and security incidents in production. So imagine that you deployed this credit scoring model and it was trained on a particular data set. And then at one point, we imagine that predictions are completely different, right? Because let's say that our data was extended to some certain point, or let's say that our model was trained only on, let's say, Spain data. And let's say that this bank also expands to France or Italy, and it includes data from those two countries, and those model predictions might drift apart because there are some other specifics, right? So we need to also define some threshold to be on the safe side. Then we also need regulator inspections and reporting. So prepare compliance report for a local authority and also summarizing risk management activities, audit outcomes, and corrective actions. And also keep evidence specs, so test results, bias, audit logs, user feedback summaries, and also ready for on-site or remote inspection. So high-risk AI systems must also comply with several core requirements. So it's transparency and data governance. Then we have documentation and record keeping, human oversight, robustness, and accuracy. You would probably notice those terms at OECD AI, where we as JSI are also helping with gathering different information. So they're also at OECD, they are interested in those terms and how systems are compliant in that particular way, right? And then high-risk AI systems in finance are also subject to rigorous grant harm and also misuse, reflecting critical nature of financial services in everyday life and in economy at large. Okay, so you might ask yourself what actually bias is. So bias is actually unintentional prejudice in data and algorithms. So it leads to systematical unfair outcomes for certain groups. So data bias can occur actually in gender. It can occur as gender bias, which you might notice in news or also in those prediction models. And as I mentioned before, we can notice those distribution drifts and so on, and this can actually, that bias data can actually ruin our models. Then we have also, and we at that point also need feedback loops. So like decision reinforcement based data, which reinforce bias in history data. Okay, this is actually the example that I just mentioned before with bank. So I won't explain it again. It's similar. And let's go to the risk management best practices. So bias audits and what regulators expect from, for example, from banks. So in bias audits, we run a demographic parity and equal opportunity test on representative samples. We have red teaming and scenario testing, so simulate adversarial inputs like spoofed identity data, edge case loan application, and the aim is to actually to uncover hidden biases on harmful outputs. And we also need a human in the loop. So for any decision impacting customers, we actually need manual review of those model outputs because, as you know, models usually are wrong. It just depends how wrong they are at that point, right? It's so we have also banking examples. So here is an example when a review of credit scoring models highlighted similar geographic biases and required supervised institutions to perform bias audits and dataset rebalancing. And also there was an example where guidance on model governance called out of reliance on postal code features. And it lead to several mid-sized Spanish banks to adjust their data pipelines and return fairness tests. Okay, and there are also guidelines and regulations, so fairness and ethics. So here, AI Act is meant to be like more or less for high-risk systems, for credit scoring and so on. Providers must ensure also the data sets are representative and error-free. And it also needs debiasing if it's needed. Then we have also this ISO 42001. It's actually AI management systems specifies requirements for AI management system using plan, do, check, act cycle to govern AI risk and opportunity across the organization. It also mandates risk identification, impact assessment, lifecycle management, and third-party supplier oversight to build trust and compliance. And then we have those OECD AI principles that I just mentioned before. So if you are interested in OECD AI principles, you can visit our website oecd.ai. You can discover more regarding this. And here we have also some implementation deadlines. So the first important date is August 1st in 2025, where the member states must have appointed their national competent supra authorities responsible for AI oversight. And then we have also implementation of penalty rules in 1 year from now, right? In August 1st in 2026. Then we have operational AI regulatory sandboxes, which is in 1st August 2027. So idea of those sandboxes shortly is just that small and medium-sized companies can actually test their algorithms in controlled space, where there are also experts which help those small companies that they are AI compliant and they don't get like high penalties, which could actually cause that those companies would bankroll. And then we have also first reporting to Commission by August 1st, 2026, and every 2 years thereafter. So I was pretty fast, so if you have some questions, you're free to ask, but we will also continue with some interesting questions then in open discussion.
Thank you very much, Jan. I see a couple of questions in the chat. I'm not sure if you're able to see them as well, or if it just
I don't see them.
Okay. If you would like to take them now, I can read them to you, or if you prefer at the end.
Depends how I read with time.
If you're able to answer quickly, I'll read. If you think it will take longer, we can leave it to later.
Okay,
the first
we can
question
answer.
It says, Steve Taylor had a question. How does open source fit into the Act? For example, who is responsible in a community project? This was his first question. And second question was, is bias always unintentional? So if you prefer to address these later on, that's also okay.
Okay, so I will start with the second one. Yeah, so bias can be also intentional. Yeah, that's correct. So depends on your aim. But we have lots of bias, especially in news. So if you look at left, right wing parties, if you're talking about news, and regarding how it will fit to open source, I don't have good answer at the moment because I'm also I'm just learning AIX stuff, so I'm also kind of beginner. So, but as I understood, AI Act actually if we return back. So it mostly, in my understanding, AI Act mostly affects systems that are high risk, but in a sense that it can harm some that can harm people or affects decisions which are related to humans. So if you would, in my understanding, if you would develop like credit scoring system, which would be open source, it would probably need to be AI compliant. But if it would be like kind of research project, which would be completely isolated from market, which you would so that nobody would have access to it. In my understanding, you wouldn't need to be AI compliant, but probably you would also need to track some documentation and that stuff. So maybe to some certain extent, the AI Act could affect it.
So I guess it's a topic to be further
Yeah.
explored. Yeah. So Steve wrote, okay, got it, thanks, mainly to do with purpose and motivations, I guess so. So thank you so much, Steve, for your questions, and for Jan for this great introduction and for the answers. So if there are no other questions at the moment, yeah, Steve also wrote, thanks for the presentation. We will move on to the next part of the agenda. So now we have the projects, their insights about how they approach AI and AI Act in the projects. starting with fame. So I guess, Jan, the floor is yours again.
Oh, yeah.
I could also show your slides if it's any easier.
I will share them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Now I will. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so now I will present work on the FAME project, so selected contributions from our institute. So what's your first thought when you see data like this, like time series? Do you maybe got anxious about it or you got frustrated, right? I got frustrated when I see data like this, so that was the main motivation why we developed a tool called StreamStory. It's actually Markov chain tool where the input is multivariate time series and the output is a Markov chain, which helps you to interpret complex time series. So key challenges addressed here is to understand complex temporal patterns, handling large multivariate data sets, and delivering explainable insights. So key technical features are interactive visualization, multi-scale exploration, and now we are also extending it with LLMs. So I forgot to mention, so this StreamStory was developed even before FAME, but we are now extending it with additional functionalities. So here is the high-level idea. So input is multivariate data. Then we create a cloud points. Then we split those cloud points to subspaces and create states with clustering. So here k-means is applied, and those states are then connected with Markov chain, right? Yeah. So this is the UI of StreamStory. So intuition is that we have, if you see here on the left, where there are some circles, rainfall fall in gray color, this is the first level. And when we zoom into, we see the picture B, where we see more detailed Markov chain. Then we go one level deeper and we see the level on the sea. So here the idea was that we, as input, we provided weather dataset, and it helps us to understand how weather, for example, how it behaves. So imagine that after several years of data, you could notice particular patterns. So, for example, if it's rainfall low, it's very high probability that the next month is May, and the next date is rainfall high, and so on. So idea here is that you can provide any kind of data, so it can be also traffic data and so on. And why I'm explaining you this stuff is because this tool helps us to provide explainable part to AI. So here you can see on the middle, you can see transition states. It's actually sequence. For example, let's say that we have 1,000 data points, and each new data point we classify to one of those states. And then we get sequence of colors. So let's say purple, blue, orange, red, green, and so on. And here we can notice some patterns and also do some pattern mining on top of it. And on the right side, you can see distribution of attributes. So if we click on particular state, let's say rainfall highest on the right side, you can see that temperature was high at that time, right? And rainfall was high as well. Okay, so it looks great, right? But if you're not expert in data analytics or machine learning, it might be a bit painful to quickly explain those models. So we came to idea to actually to explain those models using LLMs so that we provide to model transition states and additional metadata so that model can generate us like human understandable text which describes that particular model. Okay, we have also color coding, which is not so important now, but idea here is that states that are closer together are have more similar color. And deeper we go, the color is brighter. And here we have a case study from FAME pilot. So our input was all refinery data. You can see on the right multiple machines, multiple sensors on same machine, and with those different colors, there are some maintenance periods and failures. And idea is to quickly be able to extract meaning of that model. Okay, so on the left we see now timeline of those state transitions, and now you see, probably you see or you notice some patterns. You see those two colors are usually together and so on, right? But you would need to manually check which colors exactly are together and so on. So we put that stuff to LLM and it extracted a sequence of states, so colors, and it also classified it as recurrent or anomaly pattern when it occurred, short description and intuitive insight. So short description and intuitive insight are generated based on the additional metadata that we provide to model. Then second component that we developed is, so this was developed by my colleague, CO2 emissions monitoring and prediction. So here is the idea that we would promote green AI. So if we have two models which have similar performance, we would use the one which produces less carbon footprint. And so potential future work that we see is actually that our tools could help AI system to meet this AI Act compliance, because those models needs to be transparent, and explainable tools like this could help to certain extents to make those systems more explainable. And our future goal is also to explore those potential uses of tools also for bias detection. Thank you. Do you have some questions?
So I do not see any in the chat at this moment. So I'm just checking the Q&A also. Does anyone have any questions? Please feel free to type them in the chat or in the Q&A part. Okay, thank you very much, Jan. Then we will continue with the ALCHIMIA presentation from Petri Kannisto. Petri, okay, I see you, but you are still muted.
Okay, thank you very much. How much time do I have? Is it 10 minutes or 7 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. So then I will pour a little more jargon on you. Let's just share the screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. So the topic of this presentation is the optimization of steel production, and how this research project that aims to do this optimization is related to AI Act and standardization. So it's a pre-presentation, but so for the table of contents, so first about the project themes and the use cases, and then finally about AI Act and standardization, so just to keep it simple. So about the project themes, I hope I didn't forget anything. At least these themes are related. So like I said, so it is related to steel production. We want to optimize processes with decision support. So not optimize it indirectly, but provide decision support to the operators. And what kind of tools do we use? AI models, obviously, but also so-called non-AI models. So this can include, for instance, dynamic models or analytical models. So it's not always feasible to use AI for everything. And to have a more performance system, we also use federated learning and continual learning. Human factors is an important aspect in this project also, and then of course environment. So we have a life cycle assessment considerations too. Briefly about the partners, not going to explain all of these one by one, but maybe you have seen one of these logos earlier. So just quickly go further to focus on the actual content of this presentation. So there are two use cases. So first, talking about CELSA use case, you can see on the top. So in this use case, we have electric steel making, making new steel products from scrap. So this is important for circular economy, of course. And this is a very complex chain of unit processes. Not all of those are visible in the figure, if basically almost any. So it is a data-driven multi-stage optimization problem. We are not optimizing all of it, but many important parts of that. Then the other use case is Fonderie Torbole or FDT. In this use case, they produce automotive parts such as brake discs and also another steel product. In both of the use cases, of course, environmental concerns are important. So we want green steel making, efficiency, economic feasibility, because we want the companies to be able to continue operating also in the future. And then, of course, human factors, like already mentioned. And the solution for this is the data-driven tools such as AI that we use. An important project theme is also, like I already said, federated learning and continual learning. So to generate more novelty. So first about the federated learning, the idea is that we can help if you have a network of organizations or maybe people, in this case, steel plants. These can learn from what the others already know. So the idea is that the local organizations share their model with some central server, and then the central server creates some global weights. This, of course, necessitates that the models are somehow symmetric, or there are at least symmetric elements. And this means that if there's limitations in data coverage, for instance, this means that we can come over these limitations by reusing the knowledge of the others. And this preserves privacy because the local model owners don't have to share anything directly with the other local model owners or any of their data. So the other aspect, continual learning, this refers to monitoring the model performance. And if we notice that the performance has degraded, then we trigger retraining. And this is something that frequently happens when you have a scrap as the raw material, for instance. Then about the core theme of this session, so AI Act. It seems that this system is a limited risk AI system. So there's nothing related to safety directly, nothing critical, no critical infrastructure. We don't educate anybody. AI does not operate anything directly because we have a decision support system that only generates suggestions. It's not a general purpose AI either. And there's, of course, more items to consider, but looked through all of these, it seems the limited risk AI system it is. And it, of course, makes your life much easier when you focus on production processes instead of people. So there are not so many ethics-related questions that arise. There's also this compliance check tool for the AI Act website. And as the result, the tool said that we should think about the transparency. So we should make sure that the user will inform they are interacting with the AI. And also AI literacy, of course, considering the background of the people. So letting these people know that there can be side effects if you use AI for something. And there's also a colleague of me who didn't know about this wizard that I executed, but we had similar results. So he just used a bit more time to do the check. So we both had these transparency and AI literacy items as the result. Of course, these compliance results would change if we would change the scope of the system somehow. So for instance, develop safety features that operate by the system, control some physical equipment with AI directly. involve some critical infrastructure, directly educate the operators, maybe benchmark the operators in some way, but none of these are planned for now during this project. Then about standardization, so we have 4 KPIs related to this. So we have to align with other projects and also standards. We want to form liaisons with organizations related to standardization. We want to contribute to something concrete and also present related to standardization, like this presentation currently. This contributions part, in my opinion, is the most important one because this is going to last beyond the life cycle of the project. So when the project ends, and if we have contributed something useful, maybe we can enjoy from the results even in the future. And not only we, but the others also. And these 4 contributions that we plan currently, so none of these are ready yet. So the first 2 items in this list are related to AI somehow. So AI trustworthiness and human oversight in AI. And it seems that both of these have some influence or at least relationship with the AI Act, because these are quite important topics in ethics. The other 2 standardization items are related to lifecycle inventory. So for the environmental viewpoint, and we also are implementing a smart data model for systems integration in process industry. So you can say that we have a range of AI or data-related needs that we that we very want to standardize about. So just for closing remarks, so we have AI, we have non-AI. So also in this project, we have some non-AI models. And then on the other hand, it seems that to some people, all automation is AI. At least my mother thinks like that, seems like. So you can say that maybe the same regulations are applicable, at least partially, in all automation. But of course, AI is much more powerful in many senses, so that's more relevant in AI than in other systems. AI regulation affects the design of the systems, so there are certain aspects that must be considered, and it's more difficult to ignore this if you have, let's say, an explicit list or even regulation telling you to consider something. Like we said, like we already saw in the previous slide, so it seems that AI directly affects standardization and what kind of agenda the organizations have related to standardization. So it seems that there's plenty of AI ethics-related projects being standardized currently. So that was it. Thank you very much. I don't see the Teams windows. I will stop sharing, so I will see it again.
Thank you very much, Petri. Are there any questions for Petri about ALCHIMIA? I see a question for Jan, I'm guessing, because that question was posted a bit before Petri, or when Petri was starting. So I don't know if Jan, you are still with us. Massimiliano Canata was asking if there are any resources pointing to the models you implemented in FAME. I guess he's asking about FAME, I guess.
Yes. I can share links in the chat if this works for you.
Yes, if you are not able to access the chat, just send me and then I'll paste it here. And then are there any questions for ALCHIMIA at this moment? If not, please feel free to paste it again in the chat. Thank you very much again, Petri. Okay, then we will continue with, sorry, is someone talking? Okay, then we will continue with the HumAIne project. So Pavlos, Kranas from enRichMyData will give us some insight. Thank you, Petri, again.
So hello from me. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, yes, we can see.
So hello, my name is Pavlos Kranas. I'm a senior software engineer in LeanXcale, and I will present a little bit the HumAIne project that we are involved and how we are related with the AI Act. So the project started, we are in the middle, and it's a consortium of 17 partners located in 12 different countries. We have diverse partners from SMEs, universities, large industries, and research institutes. So it's a joint effort of these 17 partners to create what we're calling operating system of for enhancing the collaboration between humans and AI, to be able to empower the AI solution integrators with a platform for advanced decision making, And as in HumAIne, we are paving the way for a future where AI enhances rather than replaces human potential. That's why we are focusing a lot in the human-AI collaboration. So what we offer, three major pillars, is this operating system for human-AI collaboration. This platform facilitates advanced decision-making for applications across various industrial sectors, and some trainings and a vibrant community of interested parties. So at the very middle, it's what we are calling this platform of this operating system that integrates cutting-edge technologies into this single operating system to transform the landscape of decision-making and empowers AI solution integrators to create collaborative systems that surpasses the standalone AI and enables fostering the human-AI collaboration. We are building over 4 different types of paradigms in the AI: active learning, swarm learning, neurosymbolic learning, and also we have advanced explainability features. Also, we have a diverse domain, so the pilots are split into different sectors, from smart manufacturing, smart cities, healthcare, finance, and energy. So now we're going into more detail about how AI Act affects all these the different types of market domains. Regarding the manufacturing, what we have noticed is that the risk-based classification in the AI Act may categorize the collaborative robots as high risk, so that we can impact the compliance burdens. And it provides, it enforces requirements for transparency and human oversight support to be able to have a safer human-AI interaction on the factory levels. And this encourages the innovation in explainability, in explainability, to be able to build trust between the operators and the AI systems. But however, a small drawback is that it could slow down the deployment of adaptive AI in the small manufacturers, because as AI Act requires certain certification, and this might be a burden. Unless, of course, we are going to the solution of having sandboxes to be able to be that are already certified. However, it offers a market differentiation, and certified human-centric AI system can give competitive advantage to specific manufacturer enterprises. Regarding the smart cities, AI can play a major role in system, for instance, that control traffic, surveillance, or the public service or other public services that will be under strict scrutiny, especially when it comes to biometric data, or to be able to have a predictive policing. It promotes co-design of AI solutions with the citizens, to be able to promote fairness and to enhance explainability. So that forces the human-AI collaborations, which is actually why this pilot is also get a lot of benefit from the HumAIne project itself. It also pushes municipalities to invest in accountability frameworks for AI human decision-making, and also supports the human-in-the-loop systems for critical decisions in the city's infrastructure, or for other services regarding mobility, or other emerged services. The challenge is to align the local innovation built into the smart cities with this complex EU compliance that might be a little bit might slower, let's say, smaller city projects. Regarding the healthcare, AI is used for diagnosis, decision support, patient monitoring, and can be classified as high risk because this requires robust human oversight protocols. AI Act strengthens the ethical obligation for informed human decision-making, and this is not to be able to not trust a blind resilience on algorithms. And that encourages this development of clinical AI collaboration platforms that the doctor or the clinicians can get insights in real time using explainability and notability characteristics. Research in the human-AI collaboration for care delivery is boosted by demand for this trustworthy AI. However, the risk is that there may be potential delays in innovation because of this regulatory complexity causes us a burden, unless, again, we're using regulatory sandboxes that can be effectively utilized. Regarding finance, this is also high risk, can be categorized as high risk, likely for applications like credit scoring, fraud detection, or algorithmic trading. So it requires a detailed documentation of how human can control. AI Act promotes transparency and contestability that enables human experts to meaningfully interact and override the AI decisions. And we can shift from the black box models that we used to have to interpretable financial AI to be able to foster this stronger human AI collaboration. This may impact fast-moving fintechs, but also boost the customer trust and long-term adaptations. And human AI collaboration is critical here, and it's what is needed is this what's so-called ethics by design, at least in financial decision making, that can also protect vulnerable populations. Last but not least, for the smart energy pilot in our project, we can say that in this domain, AI, it's not that highly risk unless it targets a critical infrastructure of a country, let's say. Still, we encourage hybrid decision making, so AI aids human operators in balancing the loads of the power, the forecasting demand, and to react to outrages. The history of Spain and Portugal, it is a very valid example here. AI Act promotes a resilient AI system that keeps humans in the loop for emergency handling. That, for instance, would have prevented this blackout that happened in the Iberic Peninsula. And the research impact is that we have more emphasis on transparent and adaptable AI that assists rather than replaces human experts. There's a lot of business opportunity here as AI compliance become a selling point for sustainable and human-centered energy technology. To conclude, the impact of HumAIne overall is to boost the human AI collaboration, and the AI Act shifts the focus from just innovation to a responsible and collaborative AI, putting human in the loop. It enhances the decision-making across sectors with the human AI co-learning. Regarding the societal impact, it ensures AI transparency and fairness with human-centered explainable models, and ensures AI respects the rights, safety, and human agency. Regarding the scientific impact, AI drives significant scientific impact in the European research, especially when it comes to the human-centered explainability, neurosymbolic AI or swarm learning, and also provides explainable and user-centric design and co-adaptive systems. Also, regarding the economic impact, we have seen that there's going to be a positively impact in the European economy as a whole by developing trusted high-performance human-centric applications to be able to improve the work performance in what we are calling right now the human-centric hyper-automated era that we are living. And also, human-centered AI offers competitive edge in the trust-driven markets. That give you, Ilknur, now floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Pavlos. Thank you very much for these insights on the HumAIne project. So I'll check briefly if we have any questions in the chat. I don't see any at the moment, but as usual, please, dear participants, feel free to post in the chat or in the Q&A part, and I'll read later on to Pavlos. Thank you very much again, Pavlos.
Thank you.
So we will continue with the enRichMyData project. So Jan from JSI will give us some insights on that.
Okay, so now I will present you ongoing work from my colleagues. So preparing AI for compliance, initial steps of framework for teaching LLMs to reason about compliance. So development of that tool started in enRichMyData, and now it continued in data pact project. Okay, so here are many things that we already mentioned. So it's motivation for this project is that it's difficult to know if an AI system is compliant through its life cycle. And over the last past years, we've seen that increased adoption of AI methods, especially LLMs, which are used everywhere. And in parallel, we can also see very complex regulatory landscape. So we have GDPR, Data Governance Act, Data Act, AI Act, so many acts, right? And then we have also, again, in parallel, we have also things that are specific for each country. So there are EU specifics and there are also country specifics and also company specifics. So each member state needs specific regulations that can impact AI systems. And deeper we go, more we see that it's very complex, right? Especially for even for lawyers, even for developers, and for other stakeholders. So the idea of this system is to develop actually end-to-end system, which can help checking for a compliance. So in this case, they developed checking for news events. So okay, I will go to next slide that it will be more understandable. So the idea is that at the input we have news, we have articles, dataset cards and different stuff. And we have also rack system. So for those who are not familiar yet with what a rack system would be, so imagine, for example, when you use Google, you write query, and for that query you get list of results or hits, whatever you want. Rack is one level on top of it, so it basically, for given question, it finds results and it sends all results to LLM or ChatGPT, and ChatGPT then summarizes those results and gives you back like summarized answer. And what's the advantage of RAG over vanilla LLM? So advantage is that LLM, when it doesn't know the answer, it will start to hallucinate. It will create fake answer, right? Which sounds reasonable and convincing, but it will be wrong, right? So idea of RAG is to, at least at some certain degree, decrease probability of hallucination. So RAG systems are still hallucinating, but a bit less than LLMs by itself. Okay, so let's keep things simple. So as I mentioned, so input are those news articles and different AI Act, those paragraphs and similar stuff. And the idea is that system tries to identify which parts are kind of critic and if they're kind of compliant with AI Act. And then we have also on the right, you can see rank and select. So here we have human in the loop. Idea is that we have human expert, someone who is very knowledgeable in that particular area and can then also provide some labels which can be later used to enhance that LLM model. Okay, so yeah, here is the stuff that we already mentioned. And proposed algorithm works like this. So first we split document to predefined articles and paragraphs. So in this particular case, document would be EU AI Act, or it could be maybe another document. And then we segment or split apart this document to smaller sections because, you know, each LLM has particular context window, and if we provide too much text, it will just lose that information. So it's usually better to split large document to smaller pieces, so that can LLM that it's easier for it to reason about it. And then we convert that text chunk or paragraph, if you want, to embedding. So basically it means that we use ChatGPT API or any other LLM model which is capable of converting text to embedding. Embedding is just vector or array of numbers. And we need embeddings because if we want to find similar embeddings or similar vectors, we can then use cosine similarity or different metrics. And here is example. So example prod. So consider the following articles of legislation provided between triple backticks and nothing else. So here seems that we have multiple articles, and the idea is that then we add additional instructions. So under these articles and only these articles, and ignoring those that applicable as a legal compliance expert, answer. What are the implications of the provided articles to the following incident in triple backticks, right? And here we provide a particular news event. So a 50-year-old man driving on autopilot was killed when Tesla ploughed under a semi-truck. And if we check now this response, you can see, for example, for Article 73, reporting serious incidents. Here we have explanation why this particular article, why this news event or this particular event would be AI compliant or not, based on specific paragraphs from AI Act. So this is basic idea. So input are news events and AI Act, and output is for each article or sub part of AI Act, we check if it was compliant. We also have user interface, and code is also open source. So you can try it out if you want. And conclusions are that in initial phase of framework, so tool showed like promising direction, but there some additional fine-tuning needs to be done in retrieval, right? Because out of the box, usually those RAG systems don't work from my experience, and they need some additional work, which then enhances retrieval process. You maybe have some questions, so.
I'm checking the chat. I don't see any questions at the moment, unless there is a delay in their conveyance to me. No, I don't see at the moment, but please feel free to post them here. Thank you very much, Jan. So those were very interesting examples with the surveillance and with Tesla. And earlier also we saw some examples with FAME from embedded finance sector, with ALCHIMIA from the steel manufacturing, and HumAIne, different domains with smart manufacturing, smart cities, healthcare. So it was good to see these different examples in different sectors and different developments the projects are tackling in the domain of AI. Now we will move on to data spaces. So how do data spaces relate to AI and AI Act? Our CTO from the International Data Spaces Association, Sebastian Steinbuss, he will give us some insights on how data spaces can support or enable compliance with AI Act. Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Ilknur, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me today. So that's a big note, Data Spaces for AI Act. I must admit, I'm computer scientist. I'm not a lawyer, and so I will stick to what I can better talk about, and this is really the perspective on standardization and how standardization activities and in general data spaces can support our European approach towards AI. I hope you can hear me well. I hope you can see my screen, and I will try to move forward. Let me start briefly with what is a data space. And I have colorful slides and I have slides with a lot of text. I reduced it to one of our key standardization activities, which is an international standard, ISO IC 2151, which is, as of today, a draft international standard. And it comes up with the key characteristics and concepts of a data space. So hope you're more or less familiar with the general topic, but we have come up here with some key characteristics of data spaces. First one is you wish to maintain control about data. And this, of course, includes how my data is used when it's fed into an AI system or if it gets out of an AI system. So you wish to maintain control. And to do so, you need to set up somehow a trusted relationship between the different partners or data providers, data consumers. And I will have a more detailed note on the trust part a little bit later. We want to have an open ecosystem of data. So you need to discover data, you need to find the data. So one needs to publish and the other one needs to find it. So it's about discoverability of data. And it's about data usage and data sharing based on agreements or contracts. So we wish to negotiate data sharing agreements to a certain extent in the end. I offer my data and someone else wants to use it. I can offer it, well, I don't want to have it used for commercial and military use. Then you can ask me, oh, Sebastian, come on, please, for commercial use, I want to become rich and famous. And then I can answer, okay, if you want to become rich and famous, then I want to get 10% of the money that you earn. Whatever, but you wish to negotiate those data sharing agreements, a reconciliation of policy on the one hand side, these are the rules that stick to the data, how they can be used, what are the rights and duties on top of that, and claims on the other hand side bring some evidence that you can really follow the rules that are attached to this one. Just imagine a set, for example, use it only in Europe or under the purview of the AI Act. Then data does not flow through a data space. It's not a data lake where you pour your data in. It's a decentralized data sharing, so it's orchestration of data sharing in the end. If required, activities can be observed, monitored, observed, and interoperability is a key concern that different partners participant in a data space can easily and seamlessly exchange data. Therefore, you need interoperability on multiple levels. And this is one of the key functional components that are also described here that we talk about multi-level policies. We discuss typically about regulations, law, which is not optional to follow, that you have some club rules or domain rules, standards that you follow. And you have in the end also contracts between organizations that wish to exchange data and much more. So there we talk about those multi-level policies. We talk about semantic data. The data needs to be understood to a certain extent with given data models or with cool AI tools in the end that can make a magical translation between things. We need clear communication protocols, so technical interoperability, and to set up such a data space processes and rules. This is a little bit the short walk through what a data space is in the end. And we are very confident that this is really a key enabling functionality, especially for Europe, for AI in general, but especially for Europe. Because if we take a look at what is Europe doing on trustful AI since back 2018, so we started with this European AI Alliance back in 2018. Then we came up with some ethic guidelines. We had a public consultation, and in 2023, the standardization request was issued. So the European Commission asked, so we have an AI Act here, which is a regulation, a law. But now we need European standards, a technical perspective on the thing. How can you be compliant to the AI based on technical specification? This standardization request contained 10 items, and by the way, we are discussing at the moment an amendment to this standardization request. But so most of the things come very natural, like, well, you should have a risk management system. We want to have this human in the loop, the human oversight. But what's really key and where data spaces can be a key enabler is the aspect on governance and quality of data sets. This is really where we have a nice interaction between the AI standards and the AI Act and the data standards and, for example, the Data Act and other regulations. And so this standardization request was issued to Sensenelec JTC 21. It has produced so far 15 standardization deliverables, so quite a lot in such few time, and they are still working on more. And I will come back to the relation to JTC 25 that will work on data standards just in a minute. But we have two very important aspects where we see there is a nice match between the AI Act and how AI can be used in Europe and how data can be used based on data spaces. And one aspect is, of course, data governance and data management. So we need specifications for adequate data governance and data management procedures that shall be implemented by providers of AI systems, of users maybe as well. This is a very important aspect, and we have this huge field of data quality that is really important to make trustful and efficient AI in the end. But data quality is really in the end a huge field with very, very different elements. So we in IDSA, we came up with a paper on data spaces for the AI Act back in 2024. And the key figure here is our data and AI burger, where we clearly say, okay, we have trusted data sharing in the bottom, and we want to have trusted artificial intelligence. So, and the beef in the middle of the burger, or the vegan patty, whatever you like more, are really the pieces with data governance, management, and data quality. So we have a certain set of rules that are accepted, and we name it a data space governance authority that manages those rules and enforcing such rules and policies inside data spaces. We mandate the use of a so-called connector, so a technical system that implements this compliance and regulation parts, and that also supports the data management process from the data source to the data user. So with inbuilt provenance tracking, traceability, if required, auditability, so that you can really trace down where the data came from the root, and also where it went afterwards, at least to a certain extent. Data quality is strong focus first on the metadata management. I will come back to that in more detail, and also vocabulary, so semantic interoperability, but also with the potential for conformity assessment on data level and data provider, data user level, based on self-assessments, if appropriate, but also up to third-party evaluation. So this is a little bit our AI and data burger, where we see this is really a nice match. In the meantime, things happened in standardization, and we're talking a lot about the new standardization request based on the Data Act. And this is, I will just go briefly through this, what currently is under development and standardization. This is a standardization request for the European Trusted Data Framework based on the Data Act, especially on Article 33, where you talk about data spaces, where you see, okay, data space is system in the end that provides good governance, some enabling services, and is based on protocols so that the participants, data providers and data users can seamlessly interact with each other. And on the right-hand side, we exactly see this interaction with a strong focus on the data holder as well. So it's not only about the system that provides the data, but also the holder, or if I may say, the data owner. It's data owner. It's my data, and I wish to decide how this data is used. So how can this be put into practice with those key standardization deliverables that we have at the bottom, with the trusted data transaction, a data catalog framework, a data governance standard, semantic assets, and a maturity model for the common European data spaces. And here I would like to just go briefly into the key aspects here. So this is from the trusted data transaction, where we clearly describe this interaction between data provider and data user, but we also talk about the data product. And I would like to come briefly to the data product today, not go into the details of this trusted data transaction that are enabled by data spaces, how you can really fulfill the Data Act requirements by those standards. But let's take a look into the data product, because a data product in the end is defined in JTC 25 and also in a common understanding between the liaison between JTC 25 and JTC 21 that we have data, metadata, and services. That's a data product. This is also the key point where we are interacting between JTC 21 and JTC 25 on the data assets. So how data assets or data sets can be described and how the quality of such data sets can be understood. So in general, metadata is data about data. And here in JTC 25 on the Data Act, we talk about the catalog, syntax and semantics, and the data rights. So who is allowed to use the data under which conditions, and we provide a good standard for data governance and management in such a multi-stakeholder environment. So this is a very specific system that helps you to connect different participants, providers, and users of data with each other to really fuel AI in general, but especially in Europe under the regulation of the AI Act. I wish to close when I talk about data spaces and AI, especially in Europe, with some false friends and pitfalls. And I have even a better name for that. That's my everlasting and epic fight between humans and machines. Because we have some terms that we discuss in both fields, and we need to understand that. So what is piece for a human and what is a piece for a machine? Because data governance is always about humans taking decisions in the end. On the other hand side, the data management, that are management functions that are provide access to data, performs, monitors, storage of data, and controls input and output of operations. So this is really the machine part. In general, and in especially when we talk about AI, trust is something about a human deciding, do I trust you or do I not trust you? Do you trust me with my presentation or not? You have to decide if you trust me or not. But this is a human thing. In data spaces, when we talk about trust, this is a very clear decision that could also be made by a machine because we talk about the reconciliation of claims and policies. So we make really clear what are the requirements that I have before I can give the data to you. And you need to provide clear evidence that you fit to those requirements, a reconciliation of claims and policies. So in the end, this is where we talk about trustworthiness. Trustworthiness is then the set of verifiable evidences. This is my driving license, this is my diploma, whatever, that can be used to form trust in the end, so to reconcile those policies. I think this is important to distinguish those different things. Otherwise, one could easily be misleaded. And with that, I think I can say thank you, close, and hand back to you, Ilknur.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. I especially like your last slide with the machines and the human fighting. But that was, I think, very good nuances you pointed us to. Thank you very much. I see one question in the chat probably for you, Sebastian. I don't know if you're able to see it or should I read it?
I can see it, sure. So does IDSA also work on standards to integrate federated machine learning in data space settings? So using the data while training is a particular challenge that you could consider it as an AI service on data, so a data product. There comes a message on top. But probably infra needs also to be taken into the scope. Yes, that is a very good question. So no, we don't really work on standards on that at the moment, but we have been through this exercise in various research projects before, where we try to understand, so how can we really do this federated, decentralized machine learning aspects based on data spaces. So no standard up to now, still some open work, but happy to work on this also in standardization deliverables in the future.
Very much, Gerd, for the question, and Sebastian for this answer. I'm also going to paste in the chat a link to the paper Sebastian was mentioning, the data spaces for the AI Act, in case anyone's interested. Any other questions or comments for Sebastian? I don't see. The Q&A part, I'll also check. Okay, so thank you very much, Sebastian. Then we will continue with the open discussion. So sorry, it seems I offed my screen sharing. So Jan will take us through some interesting questions. for the project representatives and maybe for the audience. So I leave the floor to you, Jan.
Yes, so I will provide a short introduction. So let me first introduce a current status and development of AI regulation. So the EU AI Act establish a risk-based framework for AI, right? However, technical standards from European standard bodies, which were intended to guide compliance, are delayed until 2026. So this delay creates uncertainty for business. And to bridge the gap until the formal standards are released, the European Commission is implementing temporary measures. These include issuing its own common specifications as interim technical rules for high-risk AI, then developing codes of practice for general purpose AI, and also publishing practical guidelines to help companies classify their system. And also, additionally, regulatory sandboxes will be established to allow for the control testing and new AI technologies. I will also shortly describe the situation in Slovenia, and then I will continue with questions. So in Slovenia, the implementation of AI Act is progressing through the combination of national strategies and sector-specific initiatives. So the national program for the promotion of development and use of AI was adopted in May 2021, and it outlines Slovenia's commitment to fostering AI development across research, industry, and public administration. So this program emphasizes the integration of AI solutions into the public sector with strategic objectives, including introduction of AI within public administration, staff training programs to address skills shortages, and the establishment of digital innovation hubs to advise on AI development and deployment. So furthermore, the program highlights the importance of developing ethical frameworks and improving data access and quality to support initiatives. And to align with the EU AI Act requirements, Slovenia had designated specific regulatory bodies for oversight in various sectors. So the first one is Bank of Slovenia, which oversees the financial sectors and ensuring that AI applications in banking and finance adhere to regulatory standards. Then the Agency for Communication Networks and Services regulates electronic communications and services, playing a pivotal role in supervising AI applications within these domains. Then we have Information Commissioner, which is responsible for data protection and privacy concerns related to AI, while the Insurance Supervision Agency oversees AI applications in the insurance sector. These bodies are tasked with ensuring AI systems comply with the AI X provisions, including risk assessment, transparency, and human oversight. And then in the private sector, Slovenian companies are proactively preparing for the AIX implementations. So large enterprises are establishing dedicated AI governance structures, such as AI boards, to address AI-related issues at strategic levels. So these boards are instrumental in developing comprehensive AI strategies, policy documents, and conducting risk assessments to ensure compliance with the forthcoming regulations. And recognizing the shortage of competences in the market, companies are investing in AI education and training programs to build internal expertise and foster a culture of responsible AI usage. This proactive approach also reflects a broader commitment within Slovenia to not only comply with regulatory requirements, but also to position the country as leader in ethical and innovative AI deployment. And okay, at Josef Stefan Institute, we have also developed an educational program tailored for industry stakeholders, addressing key aspects of AI governance, risk management, and compliance with EU AI Act. So the program has received positive feedback from participants, highlighting its relevance and practical applicability. So beyond education, JSI also offers consulting services across various domains of AI management, implementation, and regulatory compliance, supporting organizations in their journey towards responsible and effective AI integration. Okay, so this was introduction, and now we would start with questions. So the first question is how you are preparing in your organization for AI Act and upcoming AI standards, and how does it affect your work? I can also repeat the question if it was not clear.
So the audience can raise their hand using the raise hand functionality at top in your Teams window. Then I can also unmute all participants. That way you can answer directly on your microphones. Okay, now I allow microphone for everyone. So.
Okay, so I will repeat the question. So how are you preparing in your organization for AI Act and upcoming AI standards, and how does it affect your work? If you have some experience so far, maybe.
So is there anyone who would like to address Jan's question?
There is a question on the chat.
This is a question, I guess, for Sebastian or for Jan. Maybe for Sebastian still. Is the implementation of ISO 42001, 42005 a must task? Xin Dong asked this question.
Maybe Mr. Dong can unmute and ask directly.
Yeah, this is the question maybe to Jan, because it's the
okay.
ISO 42001. This is for the AI implementation, AI management, you know, the ISO standard. And my question is, what's your opinion is for the AI development company, is this a must task or nice to have, or how to evaluate?
So can you provide me a bit more context? I'm also developer, so I'm not really.
It is regarding the ISO standard,
Yes.
the 42001 and 42005. This is the standard regarding the AI management, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And in your slides, there is also such information.
Okay, yeah. To be honest, I created slides with my colleagues, which are which are actually experts in this area. But I'm also trying to understand those areas. As
and
you,
maybe also to our expert, to other projects, yeah, maybe who could give me, yeah, and
I can connect you with my colleague.
Okay.
You are able to see the chat now, Jan, right? Like this question, are you able to share with your colleagues, and then maybe we can share?
I have also questions if other presenters also have some insights. It would be.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe.
Yes, Silvia, please go ahead.
If I can contribute, so normally the standards in Europe are not compliant. So I would not say that this ISO it's a must. It's could be a recommendations, but I don't know if AI Act has an obligation of compliance for companies. Okay, I can talk about Data Act, but not about AI Act. But as far as I know, an ISO standard is a recommendation, but not an obligation, a must.
Okay, thank you.
If it helps.
And I see Petri's camera on, so I don't know if Petri, you had a comment.
Yes, this was actually for the earlier question, so preparing for AI Acts. So just thinking about from the viewpoint of my own department. So we are traditionally using more non-AI models. But now this ALCHIMIA project, we have this federated learning concept, and this actually being applied to a non-AI model, which is something unusual. But anyways, so this federated learning part is something that another partner is doing. And then on the other hand, we also have the use cases, the plans that are going to apply the solutions in the end. So I see this as having to recognize in a case-specific way what we have to consider. So it's quite difficult to say like generically what are the factors. So I would say it's a per project basis. Of course, this is most likely something that as we continue making this, working in these projects, this means that we are going to gather experience from this regulation, also from AI. So this would mean that let's say it is a cumulative knowledge collection process regarding this. But as to summarize, so it's currently per project basis.
I guess it's still a very new topic for a lot of the projects or a lot of the community. As you said, a lot of people are in your shoes, probably, Petri, trying to figure things out. So that's where we can support each other. I guess everybody can support each other. Any other comments for Jan's question, or should we go to another one, next one?
Yeah.
Jan,
so do you have some insights regarding those regulatory bodies in your countries, how things are evolving? I presented status in Slovenia. Do you maybe have similar or different situation, for example, in Germany, Italy, Spain, and so on?
So is anybody in touch with the regulatory bodies in their countries? I think that's your question, right? Like, yeah, Silvia, please go ahead.
Yes, in Spain, for example, but again, sorry, because I am not working on AI field. I am more on the data spaces field. And in Spain, what is happening is that the government, in collaboration with the national standardization body, UNE, they have created a mirror committee to work on data spaces standardization. So, and as part of these activities, we also work on data governance, okay, but not on AI implementation. So I cannot answer your question regarding AI Act, but yes, on Data Act, okay, and data spaces implementation.
Thank you very much, Silvia. Anybody else who would like to share their experience or knowledge? about the state in their countries.
So in audience, if you have any interesting question, which is more interesting, I would encourage you that you just ask and that people also join you.
Yes, Shindong has a question or a comment, I guess.
Yes, as also the question to Yan, could you maybe share more experience and regarding using the RAG technology, with the AI Act compliance, in your project? It's because I'm really very interesting.
AIG, what do you mean by AIG?
The retrieval augmented generation unit.
Generative AI, yeah. This RAC. Yeah, so that was developed by my colleagues, but are you interested in that particular project or in RAC in general?
Yes, because it's currently in Japan, Tokyo University. The professor using the federated RAG is into to the data space protocol, and and maybe I think we could explore more potential to using the RAG into the different stages. Is regarding the question, does IDSA also work on standards to integrate with the related machine learning in the data space setting? I see that there is also different places, different possibilities to involving the RAG technology into the data space settings. And how long would be use this RAG technology in your project for the development? It's already finished. This project is already finished, or is still?
Yeah, so this project finished, and now the work is continued in another project. It's called Data Pact.
Okay, could you maybe provide some more information about this project, or maybe I can share email address?
So I think the best is that I can just connect you with people which are working on this. So so I can give you contact. So if I can give you here my email, and you can ping me, and we can then discuss that offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. But Shindong, that sounds very interesting. This generative AI and data space protocol working together. It just sounds very exciting to me, at least from
yes, because I think we really should explore more the AI technology is not just for in the use case, concrete industry use case, but maybe also for our foundation data space settings is maybe,
Yeah, if you have a link or something, a website or something for this project you mentioned, I don't know if it's available, but it would be great if you could share that with us as well, even after the workshop.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I will reach you out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, maybe one last question, and then maybe we'll do wrap up and next steps. I don't know if Jan, do you have more, or the audience, more questions to discuss?
I had some more questions, but we can also keep them for next time, in case that. So I can ask. So okay, this one is a bit more light question. So do you have any concerns? So this doesn't require any pre-knowledge. So if you have any concerns regarding AI Act and everything that is happening now.
So anyone would like to share their feelings about that? Concerns about AI or AI Act, I guess, right? To repeat the question.
Okay, so I think we can wrap up. open discussion.
I see Petri's camera on. Yes, Petri, please go ahead.
Yes, hi, it's me again. So let's say this is more like let's say my own thoughts. So AI Act seems like something that Europeans want to truly have. And then on the other hand, at the other side of the ocean, so in the US, it's more like a free market. The companies are doing what they do, and they do it fast, and they have, let's say, products that work and generate revenue and so on. But this is made at the expense of people being able to know what actually happens with their data. So let's say I'm interested to see where this leads to. So now the Europeans are actually requiring somebody to obey the European values for their products. So how will this be reflected in the US markets and the US companies? And like because this is like a situation where let's say we have two markets that are not symmetric. Mm-hmm. So let's say which is stronger and which affects to what. So interesting to see.
Yeah, what would both approaches lead to, right? Like you already, we are already starting to see some lawsuits about AI acting in an irresponsible way, for example, in hiring practices or in credit loan applications, etc. So I guess that's a reflection of innovation, but maybe without so much restrictions. And then in Europe, we are going it in a different way. So indeed, that will be interesting to compare in the end the implications in the market and on the society.
Yes, and we already have these past cases about data protection. So some of the US companies have actually received fines from Europe because they haven't followed some of the regulations.
Yes, thanks for sharing that. Anyone else who would like to share their feeling about this or their opinion? Maybe we could move slowly to wrap up because we have 10 minutes left in our scheduled time. So I don't know if you guys can still see my screen, but we planned we thought of some next steps. So how we can continue this conversation. So my colleague Silvia had some great ideas about potentially working together on some recommendations together with these projects or with others for some standardization bodies, maybe potentially a follow-up workshop. But I'd leave the floor to you, Silvia, to walk us through different ideas about standardization you have.
Thank you, Ignor. Very, very quick. Okay, this is the first workshop that we organize FAME in collaboration with projects. And the idea is how to manage the standardization activities in the project related to artificial intelligence, but also data spaces, because most of the projects are dealing with both artificial intelligence and data spaces. So if you go to the first slide, do you have the slides that I have here? For example, we can work on a standardization and then identify needs, challenges, or recommendations that we can propose to the different standardization bodies. For example, to the GTC 21 on artificial intelligence that has been commented before. If you go to the next slide, so we have been talking about the standardization request from the Commission regarding AI Act implementation. And this AI Act implementation is implemented by Sensenelec GTC 25. And here you can see the structure, the committees, and the topics that are treated in these committees. So we can organize a workshop to see what we are doing, which committee, subgroup, working group of the different committees could be interested on the results, on the recommendations that we are working in our projects. This is for artificial intelligence, but we talk about data spaces or artificial intelligence for data spaces. So if you go to the next slides, I can show you, because this is my field of expertise, sorry. So the data spaces standardization request that Sebastian has presented before, I am not going to spend time here. If you go to the next slide, you can see that the European Commission has defined these 5 standardization requests that has been converted in 8. If you go to the next slide, please, here. You can see, sorry, 7 standardization requests. The first deliverables on trusted data transactions, harmonized standards, okay, defining the terminology, concepts, and mechanisms of data spaces, trustworthiness requirements, interoperability requirements, technical specification for data catalog, for semantic assets, and also for data governance, and finally for common, for specification for maturity models of common European data spaces. All these deliverables from the standardization request for data spaces are going to be addressed by the Sensenelec GTC 25 that has 4 working groups. If you go to the next slide, you can see on more data. Go next, yeah, here, the 4 working groups. On working group 2, data spaces, where most of the work is going to be developed under this working group, but then data management and governance, working group 3. The working group 4 is for cloud and edge. If you go to the next slide, we are going to share the slides because now we don't have time. Okay, so the AI Act standardization, as was commented before, is already developed, is doing a great job in a short time. But for data spaces standardization, we are starting right now. We have started for the first 2 deliverables on terminology and concepts and trustworthiness requirements that now is addressed under GTC 25, but was initiated for a common workshop agreement on trusted data transaction. And right now we are talking about how to standardize interoperability requirements, and then the internal data governance, and also very relevant, the maturity model for data spaces. And here you can see the different working groups under GTC 25 that are going to standardize, but also there is a working group under ETSI, the Technical Committee on Data, that is going to standardize the data catalogs and the semantic assets. Okay, these are the standardization committees that are related to AI Act and the data spaces. But then what is interesting, okay, to link the results that we are achieving in our projects, the recommendations, to these technical committees. Okay, if you go to the next slide, now, okay, you can ask, okay, how can I contribute to these standards? Okay, first, if you want to contribute to data spaces standardization, IDSA is a good place because we have working groups that the developments that we are doing, then we bring it to the standards, okay? But also there is a standardization process with different phases where you have the opportunity to contribute. We don't have time now to go in deeper, but also, as commented before, and Jan asked, joining the national standardization bodies. DIN in Germany, UNE in Spain, AFNOR in France, for example, that they have mirror committees of the different standardization activities. Or alternative, or in addition, you can participate on FAME and other projects, standardization workshops and activities that try to identify needs, challenges, and recommendations and provide it to the standardization committees. organizing workshops, developing papers that could be useful for experts to consider these recommendations as part of the standard development. So how to organize? 3 minutes. How to organize this? So we need to organize a workshop. We need to talk, okay? I suppose that you need to prepare, okay, because it's the first time we talk about the results. You need to come back with the experts, the different task leaders, work package leader, task leaders, or components leaders in your project, and say, okay, what we have developed, so what we have identified that something else is needed, the standard is not covering, or a standard doesn't exist, or we can recommend, or we can provide a reference implementation of the standards or related to the AI Act, as has been commented before. So we can identify here together, and then we can address these recommendations to the different standardization committees. So with IGNOR, we propose you to organize a workshop with the projects where we can identify recommendations for the different standardization bodies. And if I can share with you, we have prepared a mural that could be a good starting point for this workshop. Okay, we are not going to work on it now for time constraints, but let me share with you. Please tell me if you have problems to access. And the link will be available on the slides, so later you can access. And the idea will be to organize another workshop with you and work together. Let me share my screen, IGNOR. And
yes,
then
please go ahead. Yeah.
I
will also put my email address in the chat. That way, if you would like to get access to this mural, either make a request through the murals or write me an email and we will add you to the mural later.
You can see the structure of the two committees that we have commented during the workshop today. And here you can see each committee. The committees are responsible for addressing different topics related, in the case of artificial intelligence, operational aspects, the conformity assessment that has been commented before, the risk management that has been presented, okay? Engineering aspects, quality and governance of data sets. Here you have the link to further information on these topics. And AI Trustworthiness Framework under Working Group 4 and Cybersecurity Working Group 5 of the GTC 25. So the idea is to map for these committees, for the projects that they are working, contribution, recommendations, what is missing, any kind of input from the different projects. And the same we can do with data spaces, where Sentinel-X GTC 25, Working Group 2, is responsible for standardizing the harmonized standards on trusted data transactions, the terminology, trustworthiness requirements, interoperability, and then the maturity model for common European data spaces. Meanwhile, the Working Group 3 is responsible for the standardizing a quality framework for internal data governance. So here you can identify how your project can contribute on these topics if it's with a reference implementation needs and recommendations. So that's all from my side. I don't know if you have comments or considerations, but it's just to show you how we can further progress on continuation of the workshop and identify recommendations. Thank you, IGNOR, and all for the opportunity to present and propose you.
Thank you so much, Silvia. It was very good to know some details about Sensenelec standardization activities, JTC 21 on AI and JTC 25 on data spaces. So I already received a couple of requests for the mural, so I'll approve them. For the rest, please feel free to get in touch with me or Silvia. I put our emails in the chat to get access to this mural. The idea is, again, to repeat, as Silvia said, to work on these murals offline. And then to collect these ideas, and then we will try to plan a next workshop again from IDSA on behalf of the FAME project, hopefully together with ALCHIMIA, HumAIne, and enRichMyData, and possibly with other projects that are interested. So thank you very much for your time, for bearing with us. It was great. Also, a big thanks to our speakers, so Petri, Kannisto, Šturm, Pavlos, Kranas, Silvia, Castellvi, and Sebastian Steinbuss. I don't know if I missed anyone, but thank you very much to our presenters, and thank you very much to the participants for staying with us during this workshop.
Coordinating and hosting.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Ignor.
Great opportunity.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, Ignor. Great job.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.